Well, greetings from Taiwan. Wow, we arrived right in this historic moment in time when President of China, President Xi, delivered his 40-year address, which is after 40 years of relationship between Taiwan and China. He made his comments regarding the assimilation of Taiwan back into mainland China. This is pretty scary and shocking stuff. A poll, however, found that 81% of respondents don't accept his 1992 consensus. 92 to the present period being the 40th anniversary of the 1979 message to Taiwan. 1992 evidently was a meeting where they're saying they had agreed that there would be a unification eventually. And as China is expanding its military and trade presence throughout the Asian Pacific Rim and moving itself into its expansion, the people in Taiwan, who are only 24 million compared to 1.2 billion, they simply are not prepared to go with the Communist Party. And what's really interesting about this is that Xi's position and his proposal is based on the fact that there's assumed consent that Taiwan is going to reunify with the mainland. And this is kind of alarming because they already assimilated Hong Kong. And, we in the West, we're just woefully ignorant of what's going on here. And then we kind of are naive. We think, the Christians are there in Taiwan and Christians are in Singapore. We don't realize how precarious religious liberty is in these countries. So, and I'm here right now, and I'm broadcasting this because I want you guys to pray. I've got one more meeting, and I'll be talking tomorrow about the political implications of what's happening with China and Taiwan. And I'll tell you what I'm sensing. I'm sensing that the Taiwanese must unify, and they must do so around the necessity of this democracy having religious freedom. Now, here's a weird twist. Let's pray that I don't get censored in America for what I'm about to say. Forget about, here in Taiwan. But I found out that they just went through a real crisis where they have a lesbian woman, obviously a lesbian would be a woman, lesbian president, who was pushing same-sex marriage legislation and of a type that doesn't even exist in the United States. It was same-sex with multiple spouses. You could have more than one spouse. You talk about a progressive party. They put a woman in office who wanted legislation for multiple spouses and same-sex. Boy, they didn't even have that in, they never did even do that in the worst days of the Greek Empire, and where they practiced open homosexuality. So the referendum, or that motion, was overturned by 7 million votes. Now, 7 million out of a population of 24 million? Think about that. That's like close to a third of the population showing up, and they only got around maybe 1.5 million Christians. That means that there's another 5 million and change that are people that simply don't want the progressive agenda. For them to have 7 million, and they just did this a year ago, within the last year. So what it means is the churches had to unify quickly in order to preserve themselves from a radical dismantling of culture. Now, they're still moving aggressively with this stupid, indoctrination in the elementary schools and the high schools. And I'll tell you what, this issue, this same-sex issue, Christians don't know what to do about it anywhere because they want to be so inclusive and so loving. You got to understand, this isn't about same-sex marriage. You can have same-sex marriage. You can have same-sex practices. This is a weaponized agenda item that ultimately is designed to go to the heart of freedom of speech in order to dismantle Christians from the freedom to believe the Bible and practice a worldview that disapproves of homosexuality. So we have so lost that battle in the United States that nobody wants to bring up the subject. So it's controversial for me to even talk about it. But I'm telling you, what's interesting in Taiwan is they had to defeat that new. They had to create a referendum. They got 7 million votes, and now right after that, you have this pressure from China to bring them to heel. And it's forcing these democracies to have to come to a decision as to whether or not they want to be free. Now, here's the challenge. There's a high number of business people, just like in the United States. This is what you call the party of Davos. And I've got some uneducated followers and friends of mine who are like all excited. They're going off to Davos. They don't even realize what the heck they're talking about. So the globalists, you get this, globalists, these are the dudes that are making the multi-million-dollar CEO contracts from Wall Street. The globalists don't really care about making America great again because they want to have trade all over the world. They don't want to have any trade boundaries. They don't want borders in the United States. They don't care who comes in. They don't care if it's Democrats or Republicans in office because they got enough money. They're the elites. They're on the East Coast or the West Coast, and they're in bed with whoever's in government, and government will play ball with them because they're the wealthy globalists. Globalists don't care about the sovereignty of the nations they're in. This is a shocking reality. They really don't care about making America great because they're citizens of the world. So they're your one-worlders. Now, China represents to them a business opportunity here in Taiwan. They don't recognize that the moment that they get in bed with China in its present iteration, they are going to begin to see, just like Hong Kong, they will lose their freedom. Now, Hong Kong was being treated gingerly by the Chinese for a while because they thought that they could bring Taiwan in with Hong Kong and show that it's not so bad here. But then what they just did in Hong Kong is revealed and unmasked the real nature of the Communist Party. They had popular politicians that wanted to have office, and China basically says, screw you, and they put in their own party sycophants. The people that support Beijing got put into political power in Hong Kong, irrespective of the populist vote or the popular following of certain candidates, because they can manipulate elections just like we're afraid Soros is going to manipulate elections with his stupid rigged machines that are in the polling locations that are coming in through Canada. Somebody really ought to blow the cover, do a 60 Minutes report on all the electronic polling devices that are in the United States via Canada that are created and programmed by Soros-funded entities. Oh, my God, mamma mia. Anyway, forget that. I got off on a rabbit trail for a second. Back to Taiwan and back to Hong Kong. So what happened is China didn't even bother to hold themselves back, and they just basically played their hand. They showed that once they take over, they take over. And so what you're seeing in Taiwan is, whoa, if that's how you're treating Hong Kong and Taiwan isn't coming in and they're pushing back, they only got 24 million people against 1.2 billion. China's economy is like, it's voracious. Got that 11, 12 trillion GDP. Now, the United States is like 22 trillion GDP. We're twice the size of China. But, of course, the knuckleheads, the absolute moranos, knuckleheads in the United States, the Democratic Party is interested in gutting the President of the United States. So I'm just reading the papers out here. They want to remove Trump from office. They can't wait to impeach him. They're kind of like the Chinese communists. They don't even have enough self-control to play their hand properly. Within one day in, and of course, I explained to these folks out here in Taiwan, and they're getting it. They're getting it faster than the United States. I'm telling you, some of these Asian Christians, they get it quick because they're in danger and they know it. Unlike us, we're like the frog in the kettle. We're being cooked by degrees and won't pop out of the kettle. But listen to these stupid articles in USA Today over here on the third day of 2019. Less than a month after declaring his long-shot candidacy for president, Donald Trump told the Las Vegas gathering he would get along very nicely with President Vladimir Putin. Oh, wait a second. He's saying this in like 2015? In other words, USA Today is selling Asia here on the fact that Trump and Russia were in collusion. These idiots. They haven't been able to prove anything. You know, they got Manafort, they got Papadopoulos, they got Flynn. All these guys, what do they put them away for? Nothing regarding Russia. They got zip, de nada, adios, nothing on Russia. but they're putting these guys away for other things, which just goes to show, like the corrupt KGB. You show me the man, and I'll show you the crime. So they just find a guy and they persecute him and hunt him down till they find some anomaly in his tax record, and then they lock him up. So basically, they're talking about last month this Butina, this chick down there who went to the National Prayer Breakfast. I love it. They tried to pin this Russian chick being part of the National Prayer Breakfast, which is coming around again because, of course, the prayer breakfast in February. So they're going to have some knucklehead in USA Today trying to implicate, the America in collusion with the Russians. Of course, the evangelicals are in collusion with the Russians. Why? Well, because I guess we love Russia. I don't know what the problem is. So Butina pleaded guilty to serving in as an unregistered agent of the Kremlin, although her case was not brought by Russia's special counsel Robert Mueller. The disclosures in Butina's case were among several recent developments that have brought a series of federal investigations closer into focus. In other words, they're trying to box Trump in, to take Trump out, and they can't find anything, so they're going to dig into the fake Russia narrative, and they're trying to sell that in Asia because these media owners are a bunch of corrupt buffoons. That's what they are. And so that's just the way it is. And they're corrupt because they can't tell you real news. They got to tell you fake news. What's really funny is I mentioned the folks in Taiwan. I said, what do you think about news? You ever hear the term fake news? They all laughed and applauded. Trump has branded American news so that nobody even believes it. And once we call it fake news, they all laugh and nod their head because they believe it's fake news too. And so anyway, I always love to see how American media is constantly trying to cannibalize the presidency and instead of celebrating the president and what he's doing, all that they could do is try to brand him bad. And I just can't wait to see. And so I told the Taiwan people, I said, you guys are a minority, but you got to pray for the president of the United States. You got to keep him from being, cannibalized in office and waterboarded out of office, because he's made so many enemies out of the globalists and the elitists and the people that want to have a one world system, that he just wants to have sovereign nation states. He is all for Taiwan being a strong Taiwan. And I'm praying that Taiwan is the first sheep nation. Oh, look, I got magic mark on my finger. I'm praying that Taiwan becomes the first sheep nation. They are David against Goliath here, folks. I mean, they're literally staring across the channel at China, and China's saying, you will be assimilated, and you are going to be one with us, because that's what we believe that our agreement is. And the Taiwanese don't want to do it. But they're going to have better leadership than this lady, that's for sure. You know what the Lord said to Derek Prince? This is an important point. Derek Prince, during the Second World War, he was saying, God, give us victory. God, give us victory. And Derek Prince... by the way, I'm looking out the window here, but it's reflecting. Derek Prince prayed, Lord, give us victory. And the Lord stopped him and said, stop praying that I give you victory. And they were fighting Nazi Germany. Isn't that a good enough reason to have a victory? The Lord said, stop praying that I give you victory. Pray rather that I give you leaders such as is consistent with my glory to give you victory. We have to pray that God raises up leaders in Taiwan, such as is consistent with his glory, to give them victory. And they've got the Christians can mobilize better and possibly create a party here. I don't know if it's a good idea, but they could do it. And we got to take a look at what their system looks like. But I talked to one of the key political guys here this week. We have to pray that God will give us leaders such as it'll be consistent with his glory to give us victory. And America better wake up. The church in America really needs to have a Taiwan moment where we unify and we start to show up. And I just believe that the more... Did you hear what this first day the Congress is sworn in? And what was that? This other knucklehead lady who's the first Palestinian congressional person in office. First thing she does is... This is a lovely example. This is terrible branding, by the way, for Palestinians running for American politics. And she goes, she can't wait to F-bombs, impeach Trump. Well, there's great branding for the Democrats, Palestinians, and their agenda for a stable America. These people would destroy the American economy if they succeeded in dismantling the republic by yanking out of office someone that 50 million people put into office by trumped up charges of collusion with Russia or digging into his attorney's files or trying to create some kind of a personal bankruptcy crisis for him because they go into his financial affairs like they did his sex life from a decade ago. That's how nutty these people are. They're actually deranged. However, we're praying for them because, like my wife would say, Lance, you have to love them. And I do. I do love them. I love them. I love them. Boy, I do. I love them. And I love them. And I pray that God keeps them out of the cockpit. Keep the crazies out of the cockpit and bar the door so they can't yank the pilot out of the seat while he's flying the plane. In the name of the Lord. Now, where was I? Okay, so Taiwan is, and I did a great broadcast. I did a news, I can't believe this today. I did this news broadcast, and I got my son Carl with me. God bless him. He's great to travel with. He's such a hoot to travel with. He travels so easy. My kids have been around the world. But I get done doing this newscast, and then at the very end, I said, and therefore, that's why I am so honored to be here in the great nation of, and I'm in Taiwan, and what do I say? Thailand. And they say, cut, and the news is done. And my son says to me, Dad, that was great. You just complimented all the leaders in Thailand. And I realized I got Taiwan mixed up with Thailand. Well, went to the news. I hope that they don't don't take me literally, because I just told them how impressed I am with the great leadership in the nation of Thailand while I'm in Taiwan. Having said that, the rest of the news broadcast went very well, I think. And I think that, I'll try to get some video footage to you guys tomorrow because these guys are so cool. Now I went to this, and American Airlines lost my flippin' luggage. Now, excuse me for being a little stressed out here. I mean, every day I have to go out and buy underwear, I have to buy socks, and every day, well, your luggage will be there. Yeah, well, guess what? How's it been? 3 days. I got one more day here in Taiwan, and then I'm off to Washington, D.C. And you know what my big concern is? We need to make American Airlines great again. I'm pleading with you people, because I know if people, we can get this broadcast. I'm going to put a hashtag: Make America Airlines Great Again, because I paid a business class ticket. It was like $4,000, because after you're 60, you don't want to fly and coach and bounce around and end up going to a back surgeon, like my friend Randy Clark ended up with his back all messed up because he kept flying coach everywhere. So I get business class, and I've done 1.8 million miles. So I get automatic upgrades. 1.8 million miles I've done with American now. 1.8 million miles. They lost my luggage. You ready for this? In Dallas. Guess where I live? Dallas. They lost my luggage in Dallas, and I got on the plane in Dallas. 2 business class tickets so I could fly with my son, and they lost my luggage. You want to hear the irony of this? My son got his luggage. My little boy, thank God for him. I'm wearing his clothes. There must be a prophetic statement here. I'm wearing my son's clothes. The truth of the matter is, we called up Dallas and we said, American Airlines, 1.8 million miles. I mean, we bought an expensive ticket. Can't you find my luggage? My son got his luggage, so I know luggage does make it all the way to Taiwan. You know what they told us? It's not our responsibility. What is it with America nowadays? Nobody takes responsibility for anything. It's not our responsibility. You're going to have to talk to Japan Airlines because technically this is their problem. Guess what? American Airlines, it's not their problem. It's my problem. And my problem is your problem, because I've got about 50,000 people that are going to watch this. And this is the worst kind of commercial coverage you can get, because we need to make American Airlines great again. We need you to take responsibility. We need you to step up to the plate and own it. And then we need you to reimburse me for the clothes that I bought, because do you have any idea how expensive shirts and shoes are in this country? Because I had to buy shoes and I had to buy a shirt. And you know what I had to meet? Oh my gosh, I meet the head of a bank. The first day I get here, I meet the head of a bank. What do you think I'm wearing when I meet the head of the bank? Sneakers. the first thing he does is he shakes my hand and he looks me up and down and he sees my sneakers. And I know what he's thinking. He's thinking, this is a man who's going to come and enlighten me, who is wearing sneakers to the bank. And I had to explain to him. I said, sir, I noticed that you saw my sneakers. I'm sorry, but my luggage has not arrived yet. Is it possible that I could find a quick place to buy some shoes? Because I'm about to go to 275 business people after I meet the president of the bank. He says, well, where would they like to shop? Now, I'm in like the most expensive, it's like the most expensive building in Taiwan. And I said, well, what do you got here? He goes, well, we have Hugo Boss, we have, Prada, we have Dolce & Gabbana. Of course, these are the most expensive places in the world. I go downstairs and I buy myself a pair of shoes and 2 shirts. I almost fainted. It was like 20,000, whatever the currency is here. And I had to do it because I needed a shirt to put on and I needed the shoes because I couldn't handle another sneaker incident. Now, fortunately, it only comes out to like being like $800 or $1,000. But I want American Airlines to own this one because the inconvenience, the embarrassment, the sheer psychic trauma of it all. And now, sneakers. Isn't that great? Well, I put the sneakers on tonight because the shoes were killing me. I brought a pair of shoes. Anyway, I'm going to present them with the bill because we're going to make American Airlines great again. People, share this broadcast. Share this. Share this with your friends. Share it like you care. Share it. My tribulations are nothing compared to the great tribulations of saints of old, but I'm telling you, when you don't have underwear and luggage for 2 or 3 days and you keep on having to go out and the free time that you've got, you're out there buying underpants and socks and you're doing a shirt because every day the airline says, your luggage should be arriving, and then you find out it never left Dallas. And who's to blame? Japan. Now, here's the interesting thing. I have to say this. When I arrived here, China Airlines was the place where I had to go to make my complaint. Do you know? I'll say this about China. I have a beef with the Communist Party because they don't like religious liberty and they're screwing up Christians. But Chinese people are great people. I love Chinese people. Chinese people are pretty cool. They called me up. They checked up on the situation. They were the ones that told me, evidently, your luggage is still in Dallas. They did a better job than American Airlines. So, high praise for China. No wonder they're taking over the world. And let's make American Airlines great again. And pray for Taiwan, because Taiwan, for too long, has been confused with Thailand in my alphabet. So I'm praying for Taiwan. And I believe that these people are going to be able to be like Rick Joyner had a word years ago that Taiwan was going to be the tugboat that was going to pull China out. Something like a little tugboat. You know, tugboats have a lot of power. I believe that if they stand strong and in unity, Taiwan is going to pull mainland China into. They're not going to pull it into democracy. I mean, I'm not that, flippant, but they're going to pull them out of their persecution of religious liberty. And oh my God, please, let's see how the chess game goes. Look at the chess game. If we can keep Donald Trump in office, they know in China he loves evangelicals. They know evangelicals are a special sweet spot of Donald Trump's presidency. Therefore, if we could stay strong economically, get our budget under control, keep the knuckleheads from storming the cockpit and pulling this man out of the pilot seat, then we could put pressure on China to change its attitude towards evangelicals, because Mr. Trump, the president, is concerned about religious liberty, and Mr. Pence, also the evangelical, is concerned, and Mr. Pompeo, Secretary of State, is a Christian, and he's concerned about it. And then maybe we could put Sam Brownback, our ambassador for religious liberty, on the game. I'm telling you, we got all the right people, and the Christians are screwing up in America because we should be mobilizing and standing behind these people. We've never had a winning hand. This is like a full house in Vegas, folks. This is the winning poker hand. Now you can back China up right now. You can't do it in 2 years or 3 years. Look at what they just landed, their little device on the dark side of the moon, or on the other side of the moon. They're letting the world know we are technologically on our game. We are expanding. And listen, they're hungry to take America out militarily and economically. But while we got Donald Trump as Cyrus in office, the only way he could be destroyed is from the inside out. There is no other king or other nation that can take down America while Trump's in office. So that's why the devil wants to pull him out, and that's why the devil is using all these lunatics to try to do it in the United States. But there's the game. Taiwan, if they could be strong, if America can hold its position, we could move together China into a different disposition regarding their treatment of Christians and religious liberty. And if we can gain that adjustment, it will affect 20, 30, 40. Quick math. It'll affect 100 million Christians in China. It will affect the Asian Pacific Rim. It will give grace and time for the Philippines and Singapore, which is asleep at the switch, and Indonesia and Malaysia and Australia. And oh my God, look at Latin America, Central America, Guatemala. Pray for Guatemala. And the president of Brazil, we just had our friends meeting with him. The guy's filled with the Spirit. He is a Cyrus in Brazil, and he's totally like a Donald Trump in Brazil. God is raising up sheep nation shepherds. He's raising up the sheep nation leaders. That's why I want to give you guys this broadcast. Thank you for listening to me all the way from Taipei, Taiwan, in search of my luggage, but on a mission for God. All right, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. I'm going to be meeting with them, discussing the geopolitical scenario, and for the sheep nations rising, the goat nations rising, and the decisive moment of history in 2019. I pray to God that we are awake as a global body of Christ. Listen to me. The global church can work together. It's like this LGBT movement, man. It's global. It's like a world ruler. America sneezes with same-sex marriage, boom, Australia and Taipei both get a cold. Whatever we do, it happens immediately. It's a global network, folks. It's a global network. Spiritually and in terms of its activist funded agenda. It's time at the church. Oh my God, can you imagine if we had 1 billion of us? We're out there, 1 billion of us. If we ever got it together, if we ever had our business people globally doing business with each other, my God, we could create an economic platform so that believers could be working together from Europe to the United States, to the islands, to Asia, to Central America. If the Christians only had imagination for sheep nation status, we could do, like the Muslims have Sharia banking, we could have kingdom finance. And oh my God, we could see sheep nations rising and start to invest in the 170 nations that are less than a $500 billion GDP, and we could begin to lift our brothers and sisters up in these nations. We would see nations, Jesus would receive nations as his inheritance, according to the word of God, Psalm 2 and Matthew 25. The Spirit of the Lord would give Jesus nations if Christians could only wake up. But I see some people are leaving my broadcast. I don't know what happened. Some of you are leaving. I noticed the numbers going down, so I'll stop talking. I'll stop talking about these end-time ideas, and I'll just give you guys a break. We'll talk to you some later on. God bless you, and hang in there and pray for me and my missing luggage. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Lance Wallnau, but you already know that. What you don't know is you can subscribe and get another video, and I encourage you to do that right now. Just do it now while the moment's here. Just press that subscribe button and go for it.